came up with the concept of the 5 basically most valuable volunteers or outstanding volunteer awards. So this is about as impossible as it gets to pick. But we got 5 names here. Before I say that, people like Dustin Webster, thank you very much for coming out here, Dustin. Your event expertise and the fact that you just got the job done, thank you very much. The entire week, thank you very, very much. My brother, Chris, take a lot of heat. Some of it you bring on yourself, but you take a lot of heat. And you're the man, and thank you for keeping us all safe this week. You guys don't know, he's basically up at 5 o'clock in the morning and stays up until about the last person goes to bed every night just to make sure everything's safe. And he handles all our security. Another honorary mention, I got to mention that where's Steve Parker at? Steve was at the top of Outer Limits. I'm not even sure who else is out there with you yesterday. But Blaine Johnson basically went from retired volunteer to back in full action. You were out there with the full staff. I know I left Outer Limits at 3 a.m. last night. You left at around 2, I think, something like that.
Midnight.
Around midnight, but you had been there since 7 o'clock in the morning. I was back here eating dinner and everything for most of the time. You guys all went Outer Limits. That was where the action was yesterday as far as, how are we going to solve for this? And you guys were fantastic. Thank you very much. Extreme Rules for Christ, the entire crew deserves an award. You guys are the best.
Volunteer Taco Bell. Allied Wheels. Raceline. Street Winners for Christ. What's sticking your hand in there?
Doug Cousins. He's still sleeping. I don't blame him. Steve, come up here and accept this on his behalf. Doug, and along with, I guess, another honorary mention that the only reason we didn't make her one of the 5 is because she would have hit us with the trophy. And that is Carrie Steiner was on top of the mountain all day yesterday doing the safety radio. And Doug was right next to her monitoring all the recovery channels. They had 28 vehicles out here doing recovery on the course. Thank you very much. Extreme Rules for Trace and Steve and Doug.
Thank you. I don't even know what to say, but OJ13 was when it all started. I remember coming out here, being invited to run, didn't run, big regret, but yeah. Recovery ever since. That was just awesome.
The other guy I'm probably worried about getting hit by something with. Where's Mark Matthews at? Mark has done all of our mapping, not most, but a whole bunch of stake pounding for the last 4 years. Has helped set the course, has done all the logistics for every cameraman we've had out here. For all the film he puts up with my junk as far as saying, here's 73 shots I want to get. Yeah, I'd only want to give you 10 cameramen and it's 200,000 acres, but go ahead, you got it covered. He gets it done every year and he still comes back. I don't know why, but he's here again. Mark, thank you very much.
I'm just glad that we're able to help out you racers. I love this race, and I don't know, it's just a deep part of my soul, and this is where I'm happy. Is when I'm working on this race and watching you guys race. So thank you very much.
I think we're working on day 18 right now for being on the lake bed, and my dad has been out here the whole time with me. He would never accept one of these trophies from me, so I just want to give an honorable mention. Noe, they've been working in the trailer over there every day. They've been out here for 18 days straight, living in the desert, helping us. So I want to make sure that everybody knows there's a crew out here that just keeps pounding stakes and setting all these lines out here for the pit road. But there's a guy that drives from Moab every year. He brings his girlfriend Stacy with him, and they work their butts off for this race. They love this race. They love four-wheeling. Danny Grimes, you out there? Can you come up here, buddy? How many of you guys know him as Grandpa?
It's on and it's over. Thanks, Greg. Jeff. Dave. Appreciate it. Never had such a great time. All the racers, all the vendors, everybody has been extremely helpful. It's all about you guys. Thanks.
We've struggled with finding a regular tech inspector. It's a really hard job. It's really hard to tell racers, guys that you look up to, that they can't race because they haven't followed the rules. And we've been through quite a few of them. And we finally found a guy that really enjoys it and does a great job. One of the reasons that we didn't have fire this year, I think, is because of him. Chris Ray, are you out there, or are you sleeping still? If you see him, he was doing tech inspections until after midnight the day before the race.
So now we're down to 5, and we had 5, and I'm down into 2 people that I couldn't possibly do without. So, Sean, I know you hit me with something, so I'm just going to tell you right now. Sean Boots, will you please raise your hand? Every single volunteer, also unfortunately, arranges the schedule, goes through the stress of making sure the schedule's laid out, where's it at. It's a year-round job for him, because he's already going to start working on next year right now. And then on top of the stress of dealing with that and who's in, who's out, he had 30 people cancel on you in the last 2 weeks, and then stretching around and figuring out how to mix and match. And then on top of that, me calling, always at the last minute, oh, by the way, I'm sure this is covered, right? And we just added 7 more checkpoints and 14 road crossings, and we need 85 people with Chocolate Thunder, but you got it, right? So, Sean, you've been my best friend for a long, long time, and I appreciate everything you do. But I was worried you hit me with something too, so I didn't call you up here. We got a new guy that came out last year, and I don't know why he came back, but he sat with BLM the entire time. Andy Glenn, I've known him for 10 years. He came out, he works for the fire department here in San Bernardino, and he took, just like every other volunteer that came out here, took vacation for the entire week, came out here and worked his butt off for nothing but more radio calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, anytime it was. If whatever it was either Andy or Noah, come do this, come do that, you got this covered. And most of the time it was, I'm already on it, got it covered. Andy, thanks for coming back out. You were my right-hand man, and I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that just for 1 more second. We guys all talked about the incident command situation with BLM. We had a BLM chief officer, and then we assigned an incident commander. They basically sat next to each other all day long. He was our first line of defense with BLM, not defense, but our first line of mitigation with BLM. He had to know every single thing on the course and be able to respond immediately. So BLM would call in and say, I've got this. And Andy would either resolve it immediately himself or find the right person to resolve it and figure out what the situation was. I think of like the 47 things they called in on, I only had to personally get involved in about 3 because Andy handled the rest by himself. Andy sat next to Pat Chassie and handled it, and thank you very much.
It was a really great event. I think the BLM was extremely happy with the way we handled things. Our crews out there, our volunteers, everybody involved with this event, you could tell who was involved. They were extremely compliant. There was no hassles, there was no arguments, there was no nothing. It was great. They said, I asked them how we were compared to other events. He said, well, that's really unfair to say because there is no event like this. There is nothing to this magnitude, and you guys have done excellent out here. So I think we've got a really good green light from them. We've got some stuff to work on for next year. We're in good shape.
Come out for a couple minutes, or are you busy right now?
I am busy. I am standing in line for my free tacos, and I'm hungry. I heard you talking to him.
Okay, we're just trying to figure out something about these course markings.
Another one on it.
So when you have a moment after you eat your tacos, can you come over to my Jeep?
10-4, and also